back from doing an intro video. Yay. But, in case y'all forgot, I go by the name of Joffey Show. And this is this show. Call it how I see it. And on today's episode, I got a couple of things I want to talk to y'all about. First and foremost, I got the regulars. They're back on the show. And by regulars, I'm talking about Glenn Pratt and Carlo. Yes, and we're here to talk part 2 about the NBA Postseason, because there's been a lot of crazy things going on, and there's a lot of things we would like to talk about. Secondly, I have another part 2 that we're revisiting with my good friend Joe Valo. We're here to talk about Bronny James and all the buzz that's going on around him and this year's NBA draft. You don't want to miss out on what we got to say. Trust me, it's going to be an action-packed episode. You don't want to miss out. Alright, here we are. Yes, we're here for part 2. That's right. I got the boys. They're back in the house. Yeah, that's right. I got Carlo and I got Glenn Pratt back in the house. And we're here to talk some more NBA Postseason. That's right. How y'all doing?
What? We get a call from Joffey. It's time to call it how I see it. Let's get it.
That's right. So, let's dive into it. Let's get into it right away. I'm gonna first dive into the Knicks series, I guess, since that's I fell asleep last night. I didn't catch all of the Nuggets game, but I want to dissect this. It's hard here on the East Coast, man. It is, but we're pushing through. We're picking up what we can pick up. But to this Knicks series though, New York showed out in the biggest way in the Mecca. They showed up. It seems like from what I saw, given all their injury situations and everything going on, it seems like these other guys are starting to step up. They had Alec Burks step up in a big way. Pt.II stepping up in a big way. And, it seems like Tibbs is, getting the most of his guys when he needs them the most. Even guys that are, coming off the bench essentially and soaking up minutes when his guys are, taking a lot of wear and tear, as we all know from Tom Thibodeau's type of players. But what you think about this series, G? Is this thing a wrap? Is it over?
I think it is. I don't think Indiana has enough. I mean, players like Halliburton and just too inconsistent. And granted, he's just not there every night for me. So I'm looking at the Knicks and Brunson being someone who people thought they were gas. People were talking about everybody in the Knicks playing too many minutes. Tibbs and his reputation. With all the injuries on the team, who's he supposed to play? You can't take these guys off the court for so long. And if you do, you are going to be so vulnerable. So I had no problem with him playing them players the way he was playing them. They're injured. For the most part, they're down. They need bodies. Like you said, Burks now and the Chew. I mean, where were those guys early? I mean, now that he's playing them this series, hopefully he can expand his bench. You gotta play people. You can't take Brunson off the court for so long. Unless you take him off the court, you're in trouble.
No, for sure.
Seriously.
They're definitely in trouble. You see the plus-minus effect right away when he's off the court.
Who can score?
Nobody. But they go through these offensive struggles where Indiana ends up catching up and stuff, and then they're like, maybe this is a game now. But then they put him back in and then slam the hammer. Well, what you think, Jay?
I think now that I agree with Glenn. Now that Tibbs is using the bench, I don't think Indiana has enough. They gave up 20 offensive rebounds last night. 20.
Damn.
You can't do that. You can't get away with that in NBA.
Bro, the Knicks, that's what's been keeping the Knicks alive in every game, basically. It's just their rebounding.
Hartenstein.
Hartenstein.
That's what he's saying. With every rebound, cha-ching, they're saying he's about to get paid.
Yo, for real, he is about to get paid for sure. No lie. He ain't lying there. But,
and as a starter, they're saying, the guys I was listening to today, they're projecting him to be getting, starter money. Like, he's going to go to a team and be on somebody's first 5.
I know, but
that's where we'll be hard.
But this is where the playoffs matter. Like, if you're gonna do this at this level and at this magnitude of things, it definitely puts you on a higher pedestal because you're able to have success when it matters, when it really matters. Even if you're just in the lane or just clogging up space and not having any type of offensive game to you and stuff, it's just
know your role.
Know your role. Like the Rock used to say. Yeah, exactly. Everyone just plays their role to what they need, and then now Tibbs is he's about to get an extension. He's about to get $10 million a year. From what I was reading reports and stuff, it's all working out for the Knicks. They're really in a great position. I don't know what James Dolan did, but
maybe let some real basketball people make some decisions. Sometimes getting out of the way is the better thing.
Yes, I agree 1,000%, and then that's why the Knicks are in the position where they are now. But swinging into a possible matchup with the Celtics next series, because I mean I think we can all agree here that we can just stick a fork into Cleveland right now with their injury issues. Donovan Mitchell not playing. It's a shame because the way they kind of popped up on that game 2 in Boston and winning there, that was pretty big. Like I mean I think we can all agree though that we didn't think that they were gonna win this series, but for them to have like some type of life in that type of manner and showing up in their house like that, it was big. But things came back to reality, and the reality of Donovan Mitchell this entire season not staying healthy has plagued this team. Even with LeBron in the house and having his bottle of wine or whatever, it just
That was a bottle of Opus One. That's the good stuff.
isn't that isn't that illegal though? I just wanted to point that out. I mean, I guess it's because it's LeBron. You can do whatever you want.
For the King of Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly. You can do whatever you want when you're over there. Anything can just go get slipped under the rug. But what you think, Jay?
Well, suit it up.
What you think about this series, though? You think the Celtics? You think this might be the easiest path for the Celtics to get to an NBA's final? You, Jay.
So,
I think the series is over.
It's over. Right.
Donovan Mitchell isn't play. He's not playing tonight.
Right.
Garland has not shown me enough, and they're getting bullied down now.
Yeah, Garland's really showing his youth here. Like unlike the other youth players that have maybe a little bit more supporting cast, it seems like he's making bad fouls, making bad shots, throwing the team off rhythm, and like as a point guard, it's essential you keep your team on rhythm. But go ahead, G. What do you think?
they had a couple other injuries too. Allen playing.
Yeah, Jared Allen hasn't been there.
And I think LeVert too is questionable.
Yes, yes.
So I mean, they ain't got it. They don't have enough with those guys, so it really wouldn't matter. But to me, Boston, them losing that game at home, and them even losing the game to Miami, I guess you can give up one, but they really, even the last game Cleveland was in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. That's the thing too. Boston has not shown their A game at all, and it's really it's making us all wonder, like, what happens when they do go to the finals, or even like the Knicks giving them a hard time. I don't know. It's like how do we bet against Boston because they've been the favorite all year, essentially in the East, but like now they're in a position where like this is where everything matters, and you're not showing up when it really matters. Exactly.
Porzingis, we need you now.
Yes.
Now we need you.
They're missing him.
The time that his injuries brutal.
It is. I agree.
They will not get past. They will have a very hard time with a New York Knicks team without Porzingis.
I agree. That's a good take right there. Very good take. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that pushes that series without Porzingis maybe to like 6 or 7 games. But it's just like I don't know how, like, in terms of like what they have available. It's just like how do they lose? I don't understand. Like,
I agree.
I unless they really just shit the bed. I don't know how they lose, yo.
The way they really disrespect them a lot to me. Tatum, like the way they talk about Boston is though Tatum and them don't have the clutch things. I want to say they were criticizing him for not being clutch. I forget his numbers, but that was his big thing. And then him not getting recognition as he should have been an MVP type player. He didn't feel like he got his shine for that.
Right.
So they look at Boston. To me, a lot of people, I was listening to these guys yesterday, they're thinking if they play everybody but Dallas, they'll lose in the West. That's the way everybody's seeing it. So I just really think a lot of disrespect for Boston. I like them, man. If Porzingis can find his way on the court, I think they'll definitely give anybody a game. Anybody a series.
He's due to come back in the next series, I believe, right?
Okay.
I've seen him at practice.
Right. So he's like already kind of getting in the rhythm of things with his team, which could definitely prove dividends when they need it.
You said, this time, the lights are bright.
The lights are really bright. They're getting bright. They're shining. They're getting hot. You know what I mean? Everything's
hotter, right? Come on, Porzingis.
So, from one unicorn, well, a damaged unicorn, to the best unicorn in the NBA, and I'm talking about Jokic. All right, now I'm talking about the Nuggets. I'm going to the Western side. Like, what happened? Like, we all thought, at least, a majority of this nation, I think, all would agree that we all thought that the Timberwolves were, had a head start and everything going, and now they are where they are. So, like, it seems like Denver now has total control of the series, and I think Jokic put the stake back into the ground to show that he is still the best player in the world. But what do you think?
Question. With Minnesota jumping after that quick 2-0 lead, and they dismantled them the one time, I think, without Rudy Gobert. So
yeah, game 2.
Game 2, right. So then for them to go back to Denver and go back to Minnesota, lose 2, they had to win game 5.
Right.
Crucial.
Right.
Crucial.
Game 5s are crucial as it is. You have to win Game 5 in a series like this, especially when you're knotted up, bro. That you just you have to get that extra nod. And the Nuggets, heart of a champion. You know what I mean? Here we go. Like, they're in position to just. I think the way they're beating the Timberwolves now, and they just kind of got punched in the mouth, and like a true champion, they bounced back. They've come to adapt to the way Minnesota's been attacking Jokic or even distributing things. I know Mike Conley didn't play last night, which is pretty big for Minnesota, and it showed last night. But overall, like everything that was being thrown at Denver, they were able to take advantage of and make the right plays. And having Jokic just do everything, bro. And it's just really crazy. And just like Jamal Crawford was saying last night, he has like a little bit of Kareem, a little bit of Larry Bird, a little bit of Magic Johnson. It's just like he has everything, and then it just flows, it goes, and it really makes things run.
His effect on the game is always there, man. If it's not in one category, it's in another stat. If he has the Jokic game we're used to, it's going to be all right across the board.
No, for sure.
But he's going to, like last night, what was it, 40 and 10, and then I think he had like 7 rebounds, a little out of the rebounds, but 10 assists and 40. I mean, come on, man.
He is solid. He is a walking stat board, honestly.
Absolutely.
Total walking stat board.
It also goes back to what you were saying about knowing your role. Did you see Caldwell Pope last night?
Right.
Caldwell Pope didn't miss.
I know. He showed up. He showed up when they needed it, and like we all said, the lights are bright. And he is someone who has done it before and before again. He knows his role. He knows what he needs to do, and he's really fit really well. And I honestly think they are the best starting five in the NBA, and it's starting to show. So I mean, right. So and finally, I wanted to dive into I think it's become really interesting series because it's been going a little bit back and forth. And now we got the Thunder and Mavericks, right? I mean, OKC came in and won in Dallas on Monday night, so now we are where we are, another tied series. So I think this game is very crucial for them as well, but I think like we said, the statistic of the majority of, series are won in Game 5. Whoever wins this game tonight, I think is going to win the series. So it's interesting to see who's really going to pop up and show out. But, I mean, in terms of like a mid-range game, I think SGA is just... he is the man when it comes to mid-range, but like when it comes to he needs more help from his supporting cast, and they're just young. I don't know, like this is where that like having not a veteran presence could really hurt them, and like they're only right. They're missing it's just I don't know. I don't see it there yet. They're like it's just very youthful, and I mean I think the only veteran player they really have is like Gordon Hayward, and he hasn't really seen the court for reasons we all can understand. But I mean it's not like Dallas has that either. So. You know what I mean? Like they're just a two-man game that works very well. So where we are is, kind of where we are. So
I love the Thunder tonight.
You like the Thunder? Okay.
Absolutely. I think the series. I really think it's over. The better team's going to show it.
Okay.
I really think. Yeah. I mean, Dallas does what they do. PJ Washington's been doing this thing. You got Kyrie and Luka, but I like the Thunder to assert their presence tonight and really finish this.
Okay.
That's I see them and Denver both win the next two. That being, like Denver finishes Game 6, and I think that's what Thunder winning it too.
And they got a date with Destiny then.
Absolutely, it's gonna be it.
What do you think, Jay?
I have tonight's game in a true 50-50 because it's arguable that Kyrie's been the best player on the court this entire series.
He's really lit it up for everything that like Luka.
He put Luka to a Robin role.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, with Luka's inconsistency, and I think he's battling being nipped up a little bit, but like Kyrie has uplifted that team, and you're kind of right, Jay. I mean, it's kind of something that we're all taking notice of, just Kyrie and his clutch factor coming in. But I mean, overall, it could be a lot to overcome because the real key component to that team is Luka. It is, and if he's not rolling well, they're not going to win that series. There's just no way. You're not going to win on the shoulders of Kyrie Irving. It has to be on Luka Doncic, and he has to show up. He has to show that he is, he needs to show why he's the best player on the court. And he's not showing that.
You gotta stop crying and start playing.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of factors that
it's
are.
in his DNA. I don't think he can help himself.
Yeah. So some of these guys just can't help themselves, Glenn. They are who they are, and they're gonna be who they are.
No doubt.
But when the lights shine the brightest, who is gonna show up, and who is gonna be the person they, proclaim they are? That's the biggest thing here. So, but all things considered.
We've seen Kyrie do it on the big stage, so he's that veteran presence that hopefully can steer Luka in the right direction.
Right, and we're all waiting for that. We're just waiting for that. And if Luka just doesn't show up, then we can just stick a fork in him and then go with the youth movement.
Right.
Because overall, we all can see that OKC is the deeper team. I mean, they're the one seed for a reason, youth or not youth. But if they do end up matching up with Denver, I think they're gonna get slapped silly.
I can see it absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Can you imagine if he's pushing Gobert around? What's he gonna do to Chet Holmgren?
It's
he's gonna eat Chet for breakfast.
Chet is a really good player. He is, and he's very young.
He's a really good player.
He's just he's not on that level yet, and he will, he'll level up over time. It's no doubt about it. But it's just a matter of time with him. And, like, this whole team, too. Like, this team has... Sam Presti has set this team up. And, honestly, he might be one of the best GMs in sports. Like, I don't know. Like, robbing the Clippers of all these first-round picks and turning it into this, it's really, really an amazing thing to see. And I have to give kudos. To Sam Presti for that. But, time will tell. And we shall see who prevails when the lights shine the brightest. But I appreciate you gentlemen hopping on and talking some more NBA postseason. We probably will run up part 3 next week, but we'll see how things turn out. But
that's what's up. Anytime, Joffey, always here to call it how I see it.
Yes. Thank you very much, and enjoy your dinner, JC.
Enjoy your dinner, Joe. Be safe now. All right, Joffey.
All right, peace, my friends.
Right.
And we're back, and look who we have on Call It How I See It. It's the return of Joe Valo.
Return.
Yep, return. So, as you see on the headline here, we are talking about Childhood Expectations, Part 2. It's been a while since we talked about our good friend Bronny James. But, after the draft lottery and the impending NBA draft coming up soon after the season concludes, we are now back to talking about Bronny. Bronny went to the combine, jumped very well at the combine, had the 3rd highest jump in the vertical. Shot pretty well today, shooting 19 out of 25 shots from 3, which is pretty good numbers. But we also had the big red flag of his measurement, which only turned out to be 6 foot when we previously talked in the episode with him being 6'3 or 6'4.
What?
So, just stuff I'm pointing out. Overall, though, Joe, as we both can agree with here on this little particular thing, this is a weak draft class, a very weak draft class. So, with this weak draft class, where do you feel your boy Bronny James Jr. falls into this weak draft class?
First round.
First round.
I think he'll go first round. 15 to 30.
You think so? He's not a lottery pick. He's on the outsider cusp.
Not a lottery pick, but he's going to go first round.
I mean, honestly, after lottery picks, though, most of those picks are like second-round talent picks anyway. They're not really anybody anyway. So,
perfect storm for him.
Yeah, in a sense.
Perfect for him to go in the first round.
But, I mean, his stats that we talked about in the previous episode that we talked about him, I mean, we still have... I mean, I think after... When we did talk about him initially, I think they had like 5 games left in the season, and he had still ended up with 5 points per game. His numbers were not there at all. So... to see where things are now, he really just has to show out in a draft combine to really, solidify a draft spot, I think, personally. Because personally, Joe, I can be real with you, bro. I think he's just a G League player. To be honest with you. I just think he's a G League talent. But the way the NBA is structured now, with a longer team, having anybody just sit on the bench next to the assistant coaches over there, like, he probably could go fill a spot on a chair and be another Thanasis Antetokounmpo, maybe. I don't know. That's
a bad comparison because he gets a lot of minutes.
I mean, he gets garbage minutes, but I mean, that's what Bronny's gonna end up getting, Joe. Bronny isn't gonna be seeing the court like that. Right now we're in the playoffs, but I'm not. But Thanasis isn't. Thanasis wasn't seeing like Thanasis is there cheerleading, bro. That's what Bronny James is gonna be doing. He's gonna be sitting there like a damn cheerleader.
He's been on a contender. I know he sucks, but he's been on a contender for what, 4 years?
Who you're talking about, Thanasis?
Yeah. So he kind of already carved out an NBA career. You're saying Bronny won't have an NBA career.
I'm saying his NBA career will be very similar to Thanasis if he's able to stay on a roster compared to somebody else that could come in a year or two and take his spot.
You see, I feel like his career is going to go more along the lines of Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers was a dog in college, but he ended up being a role player because he wasn't a good enough scorer to be the scorer on the NBA team. So he ended up having to be a 3-and-D guy. He was a little bit taller than Bronny, but Bronny's way more athletic, and he plays better defense.
Yeah, against weaker competition, but this is the top of the top, Joe. This is like, I don't know. And we also had this conversation before with what Becky Hammond said about, shorter guards don't, they don't They don't thrive.
Let's take that conversation out of it because he's not that class of player. We're not thinking he's going to be Jalen Brunson.
No, I'm not saying that either. But I'm just saying, like, does a player of his stature really like measure up well? Will he be able to measure up over and over and over and over against other guys that are just bigger than him?
Davion Mitchell's a lockdown defender. How tall is he? 6'1"?
I would have to check, but
I think he might be 3.
but Davion Mitchell is a good player that I've noticed coming in last year. I can definitely say that he does.
He was better in college than Bronny. He was.
Yeah.
But they have the same measurables. And those stats that you're talking about, Joffey, those 5 points per game, guess what? After that combine performance, the scouts forgot about his season already. The good thing about Bronny is he didn't really he had a bad season, but he didn't show enough that the scouts are like, okay, like he didn't show enough. They want to see another year of him. If he did the same thing next year, he would go undrafted. But he's actually coming out at a good time because they don't know a lot about him. So if he does good in the combine, in a weak draft class, being LeBron James' son, it's the perfect storm. He's going to go first round. He might end up developing in the G League, but I feel like he'll get an opportunity to be a DeAnthony Melton, Davion Mitchell type guard.
Poor man's Drew Holiday.
Poor man's Drew Holiday. Best case scenario, Drew Holiday. But Drew Holiday's 6'4", 220, 6'5".
Right.
Bronny's not that.
No, he's not. And, I mean, we can all agree that he's probably not going to get any taller either. So, all height aside, though, I mean, including his heart ailments and other, conditions revolving around his prowess, like, even back in high school, though, Joe, like, against another level of competition, it's not like he flourished at a high level either, you know what I mean? It's just, I understand there's been a lot of hype around him, and the name has brought a lot of attention to him, and the name itself probably will sell to the point where he does get drafted. First round, I don't know. Second round, I kind of think. But I do think he will fall somewhere in the draft. I don't think he'll go undrafted. I do think him doing so well in the combine will actually prove dividends to the point where I think him doing what he did in the combine today solidified him. Yeah, it solidified him getting drafted. I do think that will happen. Someone will take a flyer on him. Someone will, buy into the hype. What team out there is the best fit for him? I don't know. I could, name a couple. I actually think Cleveland would be a good idea. Just an idea. Just because, the familiarity. I don't think it's going to draw LeBron James into there, even though he was hanging out the other day. But, I mean, it's tough to envision where he could really fit in. You really have to be, you definitely have to be a compliment somewhere along the lines to a team that's already established.
Chris Paul goes, and Chris Paul can mentor him.
But it depends where Chris Paul ends up going. But, I mean, like you were saying in the other episode that he's and other scouts and personnel alike were also saying about Bronny coming into the combine that he perhaps wasn't playing the right position all along in college. Whatever position that may be, moving forward is still kind of questionable. I mean, we would have to see his ball handling skills more. I think the best key for him to keep longevity in the NBA would be in terms of his shooting. He definitely needs to prove that he can be a shooter and not have difficulties and overcome the disadvantages of being the size he is.
Or defense. I feel like he can make an edge on defense.
That's
I
true.
feel like Bronny's not ready yet. So he's going to go first round, and then people are going to talk shit about he sucks. But I feel like a realistic comparison for him, trajectory-wise, is Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn came in with some expectations. He sucked the first few years, didn't pan out the way he would like. But now he's a solid role player on the team. He's got a niche now. It took him a few years. I think Bronny might develop into a Davion Mitchell player. It might not come right away, but I think he can develop into it. And going back to what you said in high school, he didn't have the greatest numbers in high school, but he looked like a winning player in high school. Maybe if you throw him on a good roster, he seems like he can shoot, play defense, and has good IQ. Maybe if you throw him on a good roster, he can play IQ basketball. When you put him in that USC situation, he's not a guy that's going to carry your team and make you better. But when you have good talent out there, he seemed to be able to play with it. He also did very good in that McDonald's game. So every time that he's been he rises to the occasion so far. He's doing good in besides college.
No, you're right about that. I can definitely say he is showing up when he needs to show up. The McDonald's All-American game is a big plus there. The Combine's a big plus. USC wasn't really put in positions this year.
Wasn't playing with good players either.
No, other than Isaiah Collier, there's nobody there at USC. And it's a shame because they actually just picked up a good coach in Eric Musselman, which I thought, revolving everything into perspective, like, this being a weaker draft, this is probably his best shot. So it's understandable that he is declaring the way he is and not even thinking about going back to college. But it would have been interesting to see if he would have stayed in USC maybe and played for Eric Musselman, who is a good college coach, or even go to Duquesne, where his father's coach. Yeah, I believe the Duquesne head coach used to coach LeBron James, which could have helped them and might have been a good fit for him to mold into a better player and understand how to play basketball in a better light. But I mean, he feels he's ready now, and he probably is ready. I mean, compared to what he's up against in terms of competition in this year's draft class. But I mean, time will tell, and maybe time is on the Bronny side. Maybe time, like I said, we'll have to see how that ends up turning out. But
you're saying another G League player that never develops.
I feel that's going to be the case. If I was to give him a 2K rating right now, Joe, right now, coming out, it's probably like a 63, 64.
I agree with that, but I mean, I think he's at the 66, but I feel like he can get to like a 77.
Possibly, and that might be his ceiling. And
that's what we play in the league. That's every championship team needs those players.
I agree, and I mean, like, especially like I said, like with the new added having like these two-way players play along and having a longer bench in terms of a season, like he can garnish playing time. He'll play if he's on an NBA team and he's on the bench, part of the 15 guys. He'll see the court eventually here and there, and he'll get his little spurts.
McBride.
What's that?
So is McBride for the Knicks. He's not.
He's 6'2", I think. But he shoots the lights out, and he killed the Sixers. He shoots the lights out.
Score, but he does play defense.
Yes, he does.
Backups just play defense. They're just like go play defense and make some threes.
Yeah, it's crucial. It's either you have to shoot and play D, or you have to be some type of skill set that shines to keep your spot on the roster, and that's coming into question with Bronny. But like you said, if he can play the defense, if he can shoot good enough, he can probably linger around for a little while. But in terms, what's that?
Athletic enough, which shows
he does have athleticism to him. He can go on a fast break, good speed. There is things going for him. It's just the production. That's the biggest question, and that will continue to be the question until he's answered that question, honestly. So time will tell.
I mean, it's coming. He'll be drafted next month. But next month,
it's gonna happen.
It's coming.
I'll admit, I think he really made it. Like I said, I really think he, solidified a draft spot in terms of how he performed in the combine and everything involved. But
I think a lot of people forget about USC with their combine.
Yeah, exactly. And then a lot of people have feel some type of way about his heart ailment, but it seems like everything medically is cleared and ready to go for him, so there shouldn't be any questions with that either.
People kind of just brush that off, but that's a big deal. He had a heart ailment that people don't even come back from.
Yeah, I know. Chris Bosh wasn't able to come back from it, and it definitely can change people.
Might have played a part why he had such a bad year.
It could be. He definitely starting late in training camp and everything, and falling behind compared to what others have picked up in terms of the scheme that USC was running this year. There's a lot to it, but I definitely think that could be a problem. I mean, it was a problem, but it's showed that it will not be a problem moving forward.
Another thing is, besides his combine performance, I feel like his combine interviews are doing him justice. Because I've never really heard Bronny talk before.
Yeah.
But when I hear him, it just makes you kind of root for him.
Yeah, it seems like he was trained very well for that.
Yeah, so
I mean,
he definitely make people money. He definitely has fans already. Somebody's going to take a chance with him.
I mean, in terms of NIL money, last year he made $9 million. So he makes money. He knows how to make money. He knows how to use his name the right way, and that's going to be the biggest thing.
The NFL, Jerry Jones would take him the first round.
Well, that's what's going to happen with Shedeur Sanders next year.
We'll see.
Yes, we will. But I got to wrap it up, and I appreciate you coming on, talking this part 2. So
next month.
Next month we will find out, and we will also find out why the Nuggets won another championship.
That's it.
But all right, Joe, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right, Tom.
Until next time.